Network, broadcasting to you through Be Live TV into Facebook land. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. Tonight's chakra session is all about calming the inner fire. And I think we've felt that flaring within our belly many times in the last few weeks, because that's where change is happening. For us on a planetary level, it's happening all through our energy system, but everybody is moving energy in that particular area right now. That third chakra is going through its evolution, matching the energy of the earth. And so as we're doing that, we need to upgrade and upscale our energy to match. And so how do we calm that fire and use it to actually do some conscious creating? That's what we're talking about today. So welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here. You know, I'm going to put this out into Facebook land. This is always the difficult part for me. So let me see if I can get this started. Not as fast at this. Hi, Neshi. Welcome to the show. I'm trying to share this out to Facebook land, and I know you're way better at it than I am. So I may leave it to you to help me with that. And get it out there, right? Because I think this is going to be a good one for us. Thank you. Thanks for sending it out. Nice to have you here. So this is a really interesting topic to me about calming the inner fire. Because whenever I choose a topic, or my team tells me the topic that we're going to talk about the following week, I have no idea. That's a different way to spell my name, Rob. There we go. That's how you spell it. Nice. Nice to have you. Thanks for joining us. So whenever my team chooses a topic, you know, I just sort of sit and allow the topic to come through. I type it in, I create the show, and then I walk away from it. And it allows the energy to take a week to kind of percolate the message and the teachings that want to come through, the meditation and all of that. And they provide me with examples of how people's fire is ignited basically all week long. So this has been a really interesting thing to be observing. So hi, Andrew. Welcome to the show. Glad you're here. And Marie, hi, sweetie. Glad you're here. Oh, can't type any burritos at the same time? I don't know, Rob. You got to work on that. Hi, Martina. Nice to have you. We had kielbasa tonight. Kielbasa and sauerkraut. It was in a German food mood. So this inner fire is what it creates passion. It creates desire. It helps us take action in what we want to create. And lots of times we ignite our fire and we burn it out on things that maybe don't matter to us, or we burn them out on things that, you know, we waste our time or our energy on something that, you know, we didn't want to spend time on. It's like, where are you focusing your attention? That's where the energy is going to go. So the interesting thing that I've been seeing about everybody's fire element around is, number one, fear feeds it big time. And so how have you been feeding your fear? I mean, a lot of us who are doing spiritual work and trying to clear our karmic debt and really get into a place where we're in the vibration of love. I don't know whether we're avoiding it or whether we're clearing it, but it's coming up to surface. And I'm noticing it in a bunch of different ways. And for some people, it's that panicky feeling. And some of it, it's overwhelm, Rob says you thought it was Polish. It makes you want stuffed cabbages. Well, maybe. I just know that my grandfather was German, and so the sauerkraut and kielbasa was a big thing. But there could have been Polish in there too. I have no idea. Hi, Deborah. Nice to have you. Welcome. And Martina saying she's doing a lot of self-love lately. Thank goodness. We need a lot of that, right? So the way the fire's been spiking, I mean, many of us have been noticing the panic part of the pandemic. And that may not be hitting home for us. We just may be seeing it in people around us or sensing it happening around us. There's some of that, or through the social media, we may be experiencing the fear that way. There's been a lot of fear generated in, righteous anger. A lot of people are angry, and they have every right to be angry that maybe things aren't being handled the way they would like them to be handled, or decisions that are being made don't correspond with how you feel or what your viewpoint is. And so that can stir up the righteous anger. And sometimes we're stirring up fear in terms, or fire energy in terms of resentment. There's a lot of people who are resenting the restrictions they're having to be under, or resenting other people for not following the restrictions, because then it makes the restrictions last longer. There's some of that fire. There's fire energy about judgment, lots of judgment, judging other people for how they're handling it, judging what's essential and not essential, judging, how people are coping or not coping. There's a lot of that going on as well. And all of those are cleansing and clearing energy that's stuck in particular organs that relate to our fire element. And so depending on what version of it you are having or experiencing, will let you know where your fire energy is clearing. The new one that I've seen recently, not that it's new, but it was new on my awareness, is there's a lot of what if energy too that's working its way through fear. So people are creating possibilities or scenarios of things that could go wrong or that might be happening. So you might see some conspiracy theory kind of things, or some paranoia kind of things, or it's spinning the possibilities in negativity rather than, what if everyone started, working together and sharing the supplies, rather than being in a love space, doing it in a fear space of, what if we run out, and what if you get what I'm saying? I hope you get what you're saying. Let's see. Hi, Carol. Welcome. Glad you're here. Nice to have you. Martina saying, but then I get off track and wonder if it's just me. Absolutely not. All of us are getting off track, but when we get off track, it's because we're locating the things that are ready to release. So it's not so much that you're getting off track. It's that the more you love yourself and take care of yourself, then it pops into your awareness the things that are ready to clear. So for me, I had some resentment around, I had a couple clients who they were spinning about things that we cleared and we worked on months ago. And now they're bringing them up again, and so there was that moment of, do we have to do this again? That was on my end. And I was like, oh, okay. But they're just clearing a deeper layer of it. But it was clearing my own resentment of having to do things I didn't want to do. Right. But that's on me, right? It's my choice of what I choose to do or not do. And so releasing the resentment on that, it's like, well, you chose to do that. So do it till it's complete and then choose not to do it again. Set different boundaries on what work you want to do with your clients at what time, that kind of thing. So that's the energy that it's like you fill with self-care, you take care of yourself, and way, way more than usual during this time, because most of us are feeling our own junk and the junk of anybody we might be isolated with, and the junk of anybody around us, and the junk on social media. And we may not have really good boundaries on what's ours and what's not ours. And so one of those things may ding our old anger. And then that anger just ignites this burn. And then the next thing we know, we're frustrated, we're resentful, we're judgy, we're whatever. And we've stepped away from our love energy and gone back into non-love or fear. That's how my team talks about it, is when we're not in love, we're in fear. Carol said, I made apricot bread today and we've already eaten half of it. Yes, that can be self-care. There are times when you are taking care of your inner child, and that, what I've said to a number of people is, take care of yourself and what you need and what brings you comfort right now. And 3 months or 6 months from now, if we all need to, diet or exercise or more or do whatever, like, we can do it then. But right now it's all about bringing our inner child into a place of calm and comfort. And if that's apricot bread for you, Carol, that's fine. For my husband today, it was Oreos, and that's not usually comfort food for me, but I could feel his inner child just really enjoying it. And so my inner child enjoyed that too. Does that make sense? So Neshi's saying, hiya peeps, so good to be in the chat with you tonight. This is a really important topic. Thank you, Polly Jo and your spiritual team, for bringing info to us. You're welcome, sweetie. And hi, Sandy, and hello, Ellen, nice to have you. Thank you for liking and sharing, Sandy. And Lisa said, I really did nothing today. Well, isn't that everything? That's perfect. This is all about, I've said this for years. We're meant to learn how to be a human being, not a human doing. And this is really calling that into play, that our identity is not about what we do. It's about who we are and how we choose to be. And so in this choosing of how we're going to be, are we choosing fear or are we choosing love? And, fear is the energy that, impacts our self-esteem and our self-worth the most. So our inner critic gets really noisy in that energy around that time. And we have to, build up enough strength and stamina to not listen or go, that might have been true 10 years ago, but it's not true now. And so choosing that is what we do. And sometimes we choose to do nothing. I had an allergic reaction to my toothpaste, of all things, um, because I bought a different, you know, during the pandemic, you kind of get what you get. So I got the same brand I usually buy, but it was a different flavor. It was spearmint instead of peppermint. And I did not look at the ingredients. I didn't even really notice that it was a different flavor until I tasted it, but it didn't register anything for me. But the other flavor used cranberry extract, which I'm allergic to. I'm quite allergic to, actually. So I had this wonderful allergic reaction. And often that leads to an EpiPen and a trip to the ER, and I wasn't having it. I'm like, nope, new pattern, what can the new pattern be? I can clear the energy at a certain speed, but new pattern. And so I was determined that the new pattern was what was going to work. And it did. I didn't have to use the EpiPen. I didn't have to do any of that. But it did knock me on my fanny the whole next day. I felt like a truck ran over me. I was groggy. I had a lot of trouble focusing. And so it was an interesting thing. And even the second day, I was getting my legs under me. But normally I would have to be on steroids for 5 days. I would have had to have, liquid Benadryl and that kind of thing. But it's a choosing, right? Choosing the fear of, I could have gone down the rabbit hole of, oh no, I'm going to have to go to the ER. And if I had visioned that, if I had visioned what that was going to look like, that's what I would have created, right? And it popped into my awareness because that's what had happened in the past with my food allergies, is that's the chain of events. And I went, new creation. How do we create differently? It's still got to be tweaked because I'd rather not be, down and out for a couple days. But you know what? Doing nothing was probably the best thing that I could do. What did I do? I slept. I drank more tea and water. I've had this thing for oranges, which I'm sure has to do with the vitamin C. So I had a number of those, and I just was gentle with myself. And this is a new time. This is a new paradigm that's saying we've operated in a particular way for a long time, and now we can shift it. Now we can change it. And our inner fire is going to flare up. It's meant to. It helps us create something new, and it helps us do things differently, and it helps us be more in alignment with who we want to be and how we want to be. And it's interesting that it's taken the world to stop. I keep thinking of that song, Stop the World, I Want to Get Off. Because that's kind of what it feels like, right? Like, this needs to stop. And so, I'm out of here. And people are doing that in different ways. And, but how about instead we go into a place of awareness and take a look at the things that we do that aren't in alignment with who we want to be. Because we're in a place where we can create really rapidly. I don't know if you've noticed how rapidly your thoughts are creating right now, but it's faster than it has ever been. We're on like a sonic bullet train right now. And so being aware of your thought process and what you're putting your attention on can help you recreate or create brand new from scratch the life that you want. And so part of that starts with calming that fire. There are some beautiful books out there around anger. And I can't think of the author right now. Of course not. But it's somebody who's a Buddhist monk, and who wrote a book called Anger. Somebody's going to figure out who that is. But that book it's not pretending we don't have it, but are we going to focus on it? It's like, oh, had a little righteous anger there. Am I going to spin out in it? And am I going to talk about it? And am I going to rant about it? And am I going to tell everybody everything I heard about it? And am I going to be aware that that energy, pissed me off in that moment, but I'm going to create something to match that in the love vibration. I'm going to focus on creating this. And when we do that, that takes the pressure off of our adrenals, which are functioning on pretty high alert for a lot of people right now. And because they're very much in fight, flight, or freeze. And honoring when you get into one of those, just notice it and go, my survival body is really in panic mode right now. And how do I love myself and quiet that down so that I can get back into balance? Sometimes it's meditation or grounding, but a lot of times it's just being aware that it's happening in the moment that it's happening. Does that make sense? Carol saying, taming the tiger within. Actually, there's one literally called Anger, but I think you have the right, that's the right author though. But yes, yes, I'm hearing that's the right author. So thank you, Carol, for coming up with that. I really appreciate that. And it's funny because I teach that book in my school, which is pretty funny. And really it's about, our thoughts are seeds. Which ones are you going to water and which ones do you want to grow in your garden? And which ones do you notice and do you pull out? They're weeds. Out you go. And you don't chop them off, right? You pull them out at the roots so that they don't spread, or you try to limit the amount that they spread. So it's focusing our thoughts, our intentions on things that are more in love frequency, more positive, and honoring the anger when it comes up. And sometimes it's noticing whether the anger is in this moment or it's because that you've had old anger that you've held on to and it decided to clear in this moment. Because that's happening a lot for people right now. A lot. It's why we're in very close quarters with people that we care about. Or it's why we're in very close quarters with ourselves and our thoughts, so that we stop and we have time to contemplate and we have time to go inward. People talk about darkness, being in a time of darkness as fear. But we all have a light within that shines the way, right? So all it is looking inward. Go into the cave where the light is and find yourself. And that fire isn't anything to be afraid of. That's the fire that creates warmth. That's the fire that creates comfort. That's the fire that sparks your creativity and ingenuity, right? Because when we use the fire with intention, that's what we're doing. We're creating something brand new that serves us. And maybe it serves humanity too. But, when we create, we're creating our own story. We're creating our own reality. And when we're doing that, then we own everything we're creating. And I know there's people out there going, well, I'm not creating, what's happening on the planet. Well, the group consciousness is creating it. So the group thought is creating it. And the more fear we project into the group consciousness, the more that accelerates. But if we send love to all the people who are frightened and imagine sending their inner child this big cosmic hug, give them a security blanket to hold on to so that they're not so frightened that they don't feel alone, then don't you think that the vibration will shift and that will change? And that's just my thought on it. It doesn't have to agree with yours. But I noticed recently that the more people who harp about a particular thing, the faster it's being that thing is being created. So I'm just thank you. Thank you. Neshi said, anger, wisdom for the cooling the flames. That is the one. Thank you. And Taming the Tiger Within. They're the same writer. And I love that one too. That one speaks more to the survival body as a primitive, in a primitive way, which is definitely where we're at. But anger, the wisdom for cooling the flames. That one is, I love the fact that it's saying everybody has anger. It talks about being in a monastery and having anger. And what do you do with it? Right? It's not that you pretend like you don't have it, or you have to act above anger or whatever. It's like anger is your radar that something's not working. And when that comes up, are you going to continue to bang your head against the wall, that thing that's not working? Or do you go, that's not working, so maybe I should change it? And then you shift your focus on how to create change, right? That's more what I'm hearing and seeing from my team. And the energy around, so it's not putting out your fire. That's not at all. It's just whether, is it raging? Or, are you the fire master, right? And when that fire flares up, one of the things that we often do to quiet it is we'll use food, that's why we stress eat, right? Because stress can elevate our fire up, our anxiety. We can use alcohol or drugs. Even some people will use things like exercise because they're running to get away from it, which may not seem like it's a bad thing, but if you don't face it, that's not necessarily helping. Sometimes you can burn it out through exercise or meditation or screaming and banging things. Like, it's okay to express your anger. Just notice whether it's current anger or if it's bigger than that. Are you reacting larger than what the moment calls for? And if it feels bigger than the moment, then you are projecting ancient, unexpressed emotions into the situation. And that's creating like a forest fire rather than having your one little spark that you could put out, if that makes any sense. So, my team is not inviting you to stop having your sensations. They are completely what you need to be having. It's the pretending that our feelings aren't there or not allowing ourselves to feel them that create unhealthy energy for ourselves. And that's when when we don't express those things, if we don't express our fear in the moment, if we don't express our anxiety, our resentment, our judgment, our anger, all of those things, they start to eat you up, right? They in your stomach, and you can feel it, contracting in there. And when that energy is gathering like that, then our focus is not on the present moment. It's on everything that we've held on to in our solar plexus, in our belly, that isn't serving us in the moment. And right now, as the energy is getting shook on the planet, we're being invited to release anything that we've been holding on to so tightly that we don't need to anymore. Old fears, we don't need them. And if this new era doesn't tell you, we don't need the old fears, we've got plenty in front of us, right? We've got plenty to deal with. We don't have to dredge up the old. And how about we tap into our ingenuity and we use those what ifs to create possibilities for change, possibilities to bring joy into our life even more. Okay, we're here. So how do I infuse joy into my time? And if it's doing the energy of doing nothing, do nothing. Binge watch, Netflix if you want to. I've been binge watching the Hallmark Channel. They have a mystery channel. And I'm sorry, I've forgotten how much I adored Tom Selleck as Magnum PI in those short shorts, and so I'm enjoying those moments because it makes me laugh. But the mysteries have, that they're going to come to an ending. It has your brain thinking on something else, working on a different plan, and it's just a way to dispel energy, and always music and dance, that always moves energy for me. So Carol is also saying, I highly recommend the Book of Joy by the Dalai Lama and Bishop Desmond Tutu. Yes, that is a beautiful book about that. And Amy is saying, oh, thank you for the medicine cabinet medicines. I've used the allergy and sleepy time, fabulous results. The allergy almost completely broke up the huge blockage in my cheek after one use. Yay! Yes, they're pretty cool. I'm glad they're working well for you. It's so funny. I've had them for a while, and I'm just used to them. So I forget that people don't have them and that they don't know how quickly they can work. The sleepy time I actually have in a spray. Now I started making a spray of that as well. And I've noticed when my fire wants to get revved up, I've been just spraying that, not to make me sleepy, but it's like a calming spray. And it helps me go, oh, right, I want to be in my body, not run away from my body at the moment. So thank you, Amy. I'm glad that's working for you. It's been really interesting to see what's helping people. And my team has been really strong on that. I've had these, like I said, I channeled these remedies not a long time ago, in the last 5 years or so. And, they're exciting when they work the first time, but, a few years later, you forget that other people don't know they're there. And I'm like, right, we have that, we've got a blend for that. So yes, I'm glad that's working for you. So nice. Yeah. The allergy one, that has been a big one, for me. I use it, whenever I have the severe attacks. I use it all along my bronchioles to keep my bronchioles open, because that's the point of no return for me with an EpiPen, is so to keep that wide open so I don't have to use that. So that's just been my thing. But I still hang on to that EpiPen because it lets me know, it's medicine. It was created for a particular reason, and if I need it, I'm going to use it, right? But it does work really well on allergic reactions, topical, topical ones. That's what I want to say. What fire is burning for you? And you don't have to share it in the chat if you don't want to, but what is pulling you out of love energy? Not every day, but once in a while. Is it for you? Is it anxiety about what's going on or what could go on or how long will this go on? Is it stress about being stuck at home and trying to work, or taking care of your kids or your family? Is it righteous anger at how things are being handled or not being handled? And can you believe it? Here's the latest thing that's happened, or is it resentment that things could have been done differently or could be done differently and they're not? Is it judgment of what's going on around us, how it's being handled, which could also be righteous anger? Or is it just anger, frustration? I've had a lot of frustration pop up, and it's been interesting. I'll be like, wow, I'm really frustrated. And what happens for you when that pops up? When that energy comes up, does it sideline you for a whole day? Does it spin you out into the what ifs? Does it throw you back into the past of all the things that have gone before and the ways that it's been done wrong or before? Or do you feel the flare, you're aware of it, and then you look to shift your focus? And it's okay that we may have variations of all of those things. Some days we're in a good spot. So when it flares up, we go, there you are. Then we can go, nice to see you again. I'm going to be over here, listening to my chants, instead of, giving you airtime. Which one is going on for you? And, is there a particular part of your body where you've noticed more of that energy being located? Is it in your stomach? Is it on either sides? Is it in your lower back? Is it in your head? Is it in your neck? Because all of those things are really coming in. So Rob says, I've already come to grips with a tragic death. If it happens, I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Well, that's a way to look at it, Rob, right? And there are times when that's exactly, sometimes it's to take the fear and find the humor. I think there are a lot of really good comedians out there who've done that, who've taken that heavy, dense energy and joked about it and created laughter out of it, or, diverted our attention with laughter, right? Because that's another way. What's getting our focus? Are we constantly watching the news and reading our social media feed and seeing what's up and whatnot? Or are we looking at, how do I bring quality into my life? Yeah, we've got to work. I'm working more now from home than I was in person with some people, to a degree. I mean, I'm not teaching as many classes, I would say, but I'm still teaching this weekend. I'm still teaching next week for Star Nations right here online. And I'm teaching about manifesting and all about this conscious creation and how we can do it in a positive way, because we're really good at doing it in a fear-based place. But so just, you don't, like I said, you don't have to answer. Just kind of look within and have a radar on yourself. And you may not know the answer right now, but I'm hoping from this conversation that you'll take time in the next week or two as things come up for you. Just be aware of them. Don't beat yourself up about it. Don't criticize yourself. Don't judge yourself. Just go, this is how I'm reacting. And you get to decide whether that fits for the moment, whether it's comfortable, the reaction is comfortable, or whether maybe you would like to react differently. And if you want to react differently, then you look for ways that you could. But that doesn't matter, right? It's just being aware. Because really energetically, we've been asleep for a while. Some of us have been a little more aware than others. But it's almost like everybody got woken up and they're like, what's going on? And those of us who've been awake are like, hello, this is what's going on. But right, can you feel that frustration? So there's that, right? And I know there's times where I'm like, I had this conversation with you 3 times already in the last 6 months. So why are we still doing that? Well, because they aren't in a place where they're aware enough to hear the vibration of what I'm saying, the reality of what I may be saying. And they're not holding it in their reality in this moment. And there's a lot of that going on. So Rob also says, and why? Because you're cool. So that's just it. Just be aware of where the anger is sitting in your body and how it wants to come out. How that fear energy, that fire energy wants to work. Our 3rd chakra is all about the element of fire. And it's why, we have things like, the ulcers that burn in our stomach, or the acid reflux that burns all the way up to our heart, right? We can't even contain it in our belly anymore. It's got to burn up in our heart, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are having those kind of symptoms that maybe haven't had them before, because that's inviting what can't you stomach about your reality right now. And there's a lot of things that we can't stomach. And so the energy is inviting us to really shift and change that and look for ways to do that. And it's not to put the fire out. Just keep that in mind, because that fire is our passion. That is our creativity. It's what gives ourself the oomph to do things. And those of you who look at the tarot cards, this is where the strength card comes in. This is where you're called forward to leap into action as, the knight energy in the different suits will come in. And so that's how this is meant to work for us. So we've got like just under 15 minutes. So we're just going to take a moment to tap into that fire energy, make sure that we bring it into a little more balance, a little more grounded. And just for your knowledge, if it ever feels like it's on overload, you can ground your chakra. Any chakra that is feeling like it's revved up and doing too much, or it's running too hard, if you feel like your heart is racing, you can ground your heart. If you feel like your stomach is burning or those butterflies are churning, you can ground your 3rd chakra. So all you have to do in that moment is imagine that chakra, a beautiful thick cord going all the way down through all the other chakras below it into the earth. Boom. And if you have trouble picturing it going through the other chakras, that's fine. This one in the belly, this one's yellow. So if you imagine that yellow chakra and this big yellow cord, as thick as you can imagine it, dropping down and anchoring into the earth, then it's adding the ground energy to the fire element. And what happens when you put dirt on the fire, right? It brings the flame down, right? And I know water can help it, but this is a really fast way just to ground it in an instant. You can do the same thing with your heart. If your heart is racing and you're anxious and it's making it difficult to breathe, picture that bright green orb, this really bright green cord, boom, all the way down through your body into the ground, anchored. And then it brings ground to the air, right? So the air energy isn't fluttering and taking off, right? It's just, it can be calmed, right? So ground, when we add earth energy to any of our chakras, it helps it calm and quiet. Okay, so that's a quickie. That's a quick way to help you. So let's just check in real quick. And we're going to invite in first the divine, however we connect to the divine, right? And ask the divine to surround and protect us in a bubble of infinite love and light, right? That helps us have that sacred bubble so that we have this sense of being shielded and protected. And also it keeps us in our own energy field rather than absorbing everyone else's energy around us, right? And we set the intention, as always, that this healing work is for the good of all and harm to none, including ourselves. And in this place, feel free to take some deep breaths and really center your energy. And as you're doing that, just allow and invite your spiritual team to come in and connect to you, expanding your intuition, your awareness, your perception. Because many times our fire energy just flames up because we're uncertain. We're in this space of not knowing, and not knowing can be very uncomfortable. So we're going to lovingly check on that third chakra, right below our rib cage, above the belly button. And just notice that yellow orb. Is it round? What color yellow is it? And we want a nice, vibrant yellow. And we want it as round as we can imagine it. And spinning gently. Releasing any dense energy, any thick energy, or anything that feels heavy or uncomfortable. And we're also going to ask our team if they could break away any dark energy that we are holding there that is not ours, or it doesn't serve our soul and our growth at this time. There we go. And then we're going to ask all of our third chakra energy to gently calm, bringing our fire into a steady burn that we can use for our highest benefit, that we can use in our conscious creating. And we're going to send love energy, unconditional love, to any pockets of fear energy that we might be holding in this area or in any of our organs. Sending that love and forgiveness for our human responses that we've had to the reactions. Sending love to our adrenals that may be really stressed out. Good. 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 Nice. And then just asking the chakra to just really ground. Ground to the second chakra below it. Knowing that the fire is not in isolation. And grounding to our root chakra, into the earth. Also grounding it to our heart above, our throat, our third eye, and our crown. And all the way up to the divine. And now notice the energy in your belly, what it feels like in this moment. And if there's anywhere where there's discomfort or dis-ease, inviting your spiritual team and the divine to go to those spots and dissolve any of the discomfort you may still be feeling. Allowing it to melt away. Making space for new creation energy to come in and fill all those nooks and crannies. Good. Good. All right. And take a moment of gratitude with your team for bringing you here and helping you focus tonight. Gratitude for the community that we've had and created in this group. And the wonderful books that have been recommended that are super easy to get a hold of. Nice. Good, good. So, when we have our fire element or any element that is having difficulty, right now, we're all having difficulty at different points in time because things are changing and we don't know what that change is going to look like. Remember, it's okay to use the tools you have to help you. So if you have crystals that you use, anything that has yellow in it works really well on the third chakra. I love to use citrine myself when I can get it. I've even got sulfur, but I don't necessarily recommend that for everyone. It's a pretty strong one. But you can also use the white ones, any of the white stones to clear. You can use selenite or clear quartz. Sometimes it's good to ask the crystal if it would help you clear or balance the chakra to help it come back to center. And usually crystals that match the color of the chakra are on a very similar vibration and can help out. But I found that, you can even ask beach rock if it will help you, and it'll often go, oh, sure. I've used, beach rocks, just, put anger in, can you help me calm the anger, and the rock will let me do that. And then, I will throw it into water or something like that. I thank it, I bless it, and I send it into the water so that it can purify and release and serve its purpose. And for me, the essential oils are something that I use all the time. There is a blend for each chakra. If you know where things are coming from, that is fantastic, because it works on all of the things we were talking about. The third chakra oil will work on all of those things, because it invites the chakra to go back to harmony, back to balance. So that's one of those things that's out there. If you need help with that, you can reach out to me or go to my website, trinityhealingsanctuaries.com, and you can find it there. But you can always message me, because in this day and age, we're not far from our devices, right? Even if we want to be. So with that, you guys, I hope that's helped. I want to remind you that I do have a class coming up on Star Nations. You can go to Star Nations Academy if you want to do that next week. Next Thursday, right after chakra sessions, I will be teaching a class on multidimensional manifesting and using the inner child to do that. And that information has shifted and changed since we decided to create this collaboration of manifestation teachings from some of the most fantastic Star Nations hosts, Maureen Mann, Ed Langen, myself, and Neshi. We are all on it, and we've gotten new information that is to help you in this new paradigm, in this new energy. And I will be back here next Thursday night at 7 for chakra sessions, as well as Wednesday evenings. I'm always here for Soul Connections to help you with your own healing and to provide readings and divine messages. And, we're never in this alone. So if you need help from any one of the Star Nation's spiritual teachers, we're here for you. And, we're a community. We're in this together, right? So with that, thank you for helping me to do my mission to heal the healers. And I will see you next week here on Chakra Sessions. Bye, guys.